So let's begin. A house is not a home. So, before beginning this chapter, a house is not a home. A house is not a home. First, I would like to ask you, what is the difference between a house and a home? Anybody? Can you tell me the difference between house and home? Yesterday you came, right? Yes, continue. Okay, still not complete. Okay, sit down. And home? Yes, that's good. A house is a place which is built of bricks, stones, cement, iron, all those. Any building can be a house. But home is only that building or that house is a home where we can live happily and where we have emotional attachment with the inhabitants of that house. Am I clear? Am I clear to you? So there has to be an emotional attachment. That means a bond of love and oneness. Then only it is a home, otherwise it is not a home. Suppose when you live in a hostel, that is not a home, but that is a house. Okay, a home is where your family is, where you are connected with them in an emotional attachment or bond. You have a bond. That is home. Clear? Okay. Now coming here, let's begin the story. This is a story of a schoolboy who has just completed his junior school and is promoted to the seniors. And as in his school, senior classes are not there, he has to go to some other school. And then how his life goes on, that we'll come to know through this story. So my first year of high school felt awkward. The first year of high school. In the high school, when he was admitted, the first year, he felt little uneasy. He was not comfortable over there. Okay. Coming to school, you just think, how many of you are not from here, this school, from your childhood, admitted afterwards? How many are there? Okay, fine. What is your name? Muhammad Shah Jahan. Okay. Which year did you get into the school? Last year. Okay, very good. So, when you came here, did you have friends? The first day when you entered the school, you wore the school dress and came here. How were you feeling? What was your feeling? Can you explain? Did you enjoy? Okay. And you came by bus or your parents left you here that day? Bus. Bicycle. Okay, fine. And then immediately you had friends here? It took time. Till that time, what you did? Coming to the class? Did you know where your class was? Classroom? You had to ask. Whom you asked? Very good. And then in the class when you entered, everybody was looking at you. How were you feeling that time? You are feeling that I am Shah Rukh Khan. All are looking at me. Did you feel like that? Did you feel like that? No. Okay, so what feeling came? A little uneasy, uncomfortable, little bit uncomfortable. It happens. Right? Okay, sit down, Saja. Okay. So here the same thing was happening with this boy. Okay, he was also feeling little awkward. And then after leaving junior high at the head of my class with all the seniority, the upper grade level could afford me. It felt strange starting over as a freshman. So when he was in the junior school, in that school he was at the top class, means he reached the topmost class in that school. Topmost class means senior, right? The seniority has something to do, isn't it? You also feel, you also feel seniority, don't you feel? When you look at juniors, what do you do? तमीज से बात करो, senior. Don't you do so? Yes. Good morning, Buddha. Don't you do so? At least in the field you do, isn't it? You don't do so, but you are a very gentle boy. But Alok is not. Okay. Okay, fine. There are some who does that. Suppose you are playing football and juniors are also playing, or else you are not getting football, juniors are playing. You want to take it from them. That time you behave in that way. Senior है ना मांग रहे थे तो okay, so that kind of attitude comes, it comes with seniority. Okay, so this boy, he also had the same attitude, but the thing is that it was all over because now he was in a new school, and in that school he was in the junior class, the lowest class in that school. And so he was again fresher over there. The freshman here refers to fresher. That means again in a new way he has to begin everything. Here nobody knows him. He knows nobody. Okay, so that is a problem. The school was twice as big as my old school. And to make matters worse, my closest friends were sent to a different high school. I felt very isolated. So this school, the new school, was twice as big as his old school. So this is one bigger in size. Of course, senior schools are a little bigger. Next, another problem that was that in that school he did not go with his friends. Other friends who passed out from that junior school, they got admitted in some other school. And he was alone in this senior school. As a result, he felt very lonely. Isolated means here alone, lonely. Okay, he was feeling very lonely, no friends, nobody to talk with, what to do. I missed my old teachers so much that I would go back and visit them. So he was missing his old teachers. Old teachers means the teachers in that junior school. He was missing them. And he was missing so much that he would always like to go and meet them. They would encourage me to get involved in school activities so that I could meet new people. So those teachers always encouraged him to get himself included in the school activities. School activities means suppose debate competition, quiz competition, games and all those. Okay, where he could have a interaction with more and more people. They told me that time I would adjust and probably end up loving my new school more than I had my old one. So those teachers at that time had told that when you will go to the new school, you will like that school so much that you will forget the old school. You will forget the teachers of the old school. They made me promise that when that happened, I would still come by and visit them from time to time. I understood the psychology in what they were saying, but I took some comfort in it nonetheless. So he understood why those they were saying so. Okay, but they also made him promise that okay, when you will start liking your new school, then also you will come to visit us, come to see us, talk with us. This thing, why they were saying, the student, the boy understood very well. He understood that the teachers are actually preparing him mentally to get adjusted to his new school for that. Okay. So one Sunday afternoon, not long after I had started high school, I was sitting at home at our dining room table. doing homework. So after he joined the new school, one Sunday afternoon, he was in his dining room table, and there he was doing his homework. It was a cold and windy fall day, and we had a fire going in our fireplace. So it was a cold and windy fall day. Cold and windy fall day. What does the word fall suggest? Of course, it is somewhat right, but which season is it? Yes, very good. Fall means autumn. In American English, they don't call as autumn. They call it as fall. Okay? The season is called fall by Americans. They don't call it as autumn season. Clear? Okay. So it was one of the autumn day, and the cold wind was blowing. It was cold outside and wind was blowing. And inside they had a fireplace. I hope you don't have fireplace at your home. Do you have? No. In our country, we don't require it. Yes, we require it in areas like Shimla, Kashmir, but not in Kishanganj, isn't it? In Kishanganj, we feel cold, but not to that extreme. We have never seen snow. Means you have seen, but we have not never seen it in Kishanganj, have you? No, at least snow doesn't fall here. So it's not that extreme cold over here. But in places where snowfall happens, in those places, people have fireplaces. Of course, nowadays people are not having fireplaces because nowadays room heaters are there, isn't it? But earlier time, room heater was not there, so they had to keep fireplace. Now, fireplace was a normally a square kind of area set around one part of the wall, and above it there used to be a pipe chimney which used to go out, just like you have kitchen chimney you have at your home. Similarly, there used to be that kind of pipe outside, and from there, what was the purpose? So that when you light the fire, there will be smoke also. So if the room engulfs in smoke, then it will be problem for you. So that the smoke goes out of the house, it has a chimney. Okay. So they also had that fireplace. Fire was burning, and then what was happening to keep the house warm? As usual, my red tabby cat was lying on top of all my papers, purring loudly and occasionally squatting at my pen for entertainment's sake. So it was usual that whenever he sits for doing homework over there, his cat, his cat comes and sits. The cat comes and sits on whatever things are there that he has kept on. Over that, the cat comes and sits. Okay, it is a usual. And he plays with the cat plays with the pen. Okay, just for entertainment. She was never far from me. I had rescued her when she was a kitten, and somehow she knew that I was the one responsible for giving her the good life. So when this cat was a small kitten, our narrator has rescued the cat. As a result, from that time onwards, this cat, it remained with this boy, okay, or our narrator. And hopefully the cat knew that this person is responsible for giving him a good life. Why? It gets good place to sleep. It gets good food to eat. So all those things it gets in this room, in this house. My mother kept stoking the fire to keep the house nice and warm. Suddenly, I smelled something strange, and then I noticed it. Smoke pouring in through the seams of the ceiling. So his mother, what she does? She needs to stoke the fire. Stoke the fire means, see, when the fire is burning, you have to keep on tending it after some time. Otherwise, what will happen? The fire may slowly it will go down and there will be no more fire. Okay, so it has to be tended. When required, you have to give less wood sticks. If required, you have to lessen it. Like this, you have to do. So his mother used to do that. But once, when his mother was doing so, he was smelling something. What was that? Smoke. It was coming in from the ceiling. Now you'll say, sir, how can it come from the ceiling? It was not this ceiling. Wooden. Okay. In your childhood days, you have studied types of houses. Remember, pakka house, kacha house, stilt house. Have you remember? Okay. So, depending on the different kind of environment or climate, we have different types of houses, isn't it? In Canada region, we have igloos, right? In Assam region, we have stilt house. Remember stilt house? Forgot. Who remembers stilt house? Anybody remembers how stilt house looks like? Yes? Yes. Right. Thank you. Stilt houses are always raised from the ground level with the help of bamboos. Okay. So that during the flood, these houses are built only in those areas which are more prone to flood, so that the flood waters never come. In Assam, it is normal to have flood. Okay, every year you will find flood in Assam. So, stilt house make over there. Similarly, when we go to the nowadays it's different, but I'm talking about few decades back. In the hilly regions or mountainous area regions, or in colder regions, wooden house. Most of the people used to build wooden house. Why? What is the reason to build wooden house? Wood is a works as an insulator, isn't it? As a result, it stops the cold from the outside to get in, and the warmth that remains inside, it does not escape out. Okay, so wooden houses are built. Okay, also in these areas, the roof are like this, cone shaped, right? Why? So that the snow doesn't settle over the roof, so that the snow goes down. Okay, otherwise, with the weight of the snow, the house may. Okay, that's why. Okay, so now here, what happens? Uh, through the ceiling, as it was wooden ceiling, he could notice that the smokes were coming in. Smoke was pouring in. The smoke began to fill the room so quickly that we could barely see. So the smoke began filled up their room so quickly that they were not able to see anything. Groping our way into the front door, we all ran out into the front yard. So somehow, groping our way, that means they were not able to understand where to go. Somehow they managed to reach the front door. And then they went out. By the time we made our way outside, the whole roof was engulfed in flames and it was spreading quickly. So when they had come out of the house, what they found? The whole roof was burning. Okay. I ran to the neighbors to call the fire department while I watched my mother run back into the house. So he went to the neighbor's house so that they can inform the fire department. But by that time, what he noticed? His mother has already run back inside the house, inside that burning house. My mother then ran out of the house carrying a small metal box full of important documents. So she brought with her back, but a small metal box which had some important documents. She dropped the case on the lawn and in a crazed state ran back into the house. So what she did, she dropped it over there, the box, and then she happened to realize something, and so she again ran back into the house. I knew what she was after. My father had died when I was young, and I was certain that she was not going to let his pictures and letters go up in flames. So our narrator, the schoolboy, he understood why his mother went in. His father was no more. He had died when he was a small boy. His mother would not let the pictures and the letters of his father burn up. That's why she went in. They were the only things that she had to remember him by. Still, I screamed at her, "Mom, no." So from far, the boy screamed that, "Mom, don't go," because it is already burning the house. I was about to run after her when I felt a large hand hold me back. So he was also going to run just after his mother. His mother has went inside. He was afraid. He also wanted to run and catch hold of his mother. But at that time, he found somebody is holding back. Somebody is holding him back. Who is that? It was a fireman. I hadn't even noticed that the street had already filled with fire trucks. So at that time, the narrator did not notice that already the fire brigade came over there and their street was filled up with different fire trucks. Why they had come? In order to put out the fire, extinguish the fire. I was trying to free myself from his grasp, yelling, "You don't understand, my mother's in there." So he was trying to escape from that fireman and go after his mother. Why? Because his mother was there and he had nothing else in his mind. Only he was thinking about his mother. Mother might die. That was a thought which came to him at that time. So he was trying to get out from the from the grasp of that person. And for this he was shouting. Yelling means shouting. He held on to me while other firefighters ran into the house. So, but that person was not living. He was catching hold of the boy, while other firefighters, they ran into the house. He knew that I wasn't acting very logically and that if he were to let go, I would run. He was right. So that person, that fireman, he knew that if he left the boy would certainly go into the house. And it was not a very logical idea to do so. That's why the person was not leaving him. And he was right in doing so. "It's all right. They will get her," he said. But he said, "Don't worry. They will get her." They means the other firefighters. They will get her out. You don't worry about it. He wrapped a blanket around me and sat me down in our car. Soon after that, a fireman emerged from our house with my mom in tow. So by the time the boy was made to settle or sit in the car with the blankets on, he noticed that another fireman came out of that house with his mother in tow. In tow means like this, in this condition. He was lifting the lady. He quickly took her over to the truck and put an oxygen mask on her. I ran over and hugged her. So that person took the lady and put an oxygen mask on her. Immediately, the boy, a narrator, he ran to his mother. Immediately, he ran to his mother and hugged her. All those times I ever argued with her and hated her vanished at the thought of losing her. So now, all those times that the boy used to argue with his mother, fight with his mother, like you also do, isn't it? Don't you do? You also argue with your mother. Your mother asks you to do something, you say, "Oh, you don't understand. Now I'm not going to do this. Now I'm busy playing." I'm playing video game now. Right? Sandeep will say, I'm cycling now. I'm busy in cycling. I'll become the best cyclist in the world. And you are disturbing me, mommy. You don't understand. Right? So this thing happens. Doesn't it happen with you? You also fight with your mother, isn't it? Especially mother. Not that much with father, but especially with mother, don't you? With father, little less. With mother, you get a little more to fight with, isn't it? So this boy also had the same feeling. But at that moment, everything vanished. Why? At that moment, he was only feeling that he will lose his mother. His mother might die. And that feeling removed all those thoughts of fighting or arguing with her. She is going to be okay, said the fireman. She has just inhaled a little smoke. And then he ran back to fight the fire while my mother and I sat there dazed. So the fireman said that, don't worry, your mother is going to be all right. Only that she had inhaled some smoke. As a result, she is having problem in breathing. So as oxygen has been given to her, she will be all right. And then that person ran back to help the other firefighters put down the fire. I remember watching my house burn down and thinking that there was nothing I could do about it. So he wonders now. He's wondering, he's thinking, looking at the house and thinking, the house is burning and he cannot help it. He cannot do anything to stop the house from burning. Yes, madam. Yes, I said. Okay. I sat there dazed. That means while my mother and I, they too sat there, and what they were doing? They were just looking and looking and looking. Okay. In full amazement, but cannot do it. That is what daze is. Okay? Means they were dazzled. 5 hours later, the fire was finally out. So it took 5 hours to put out the fire. Our house was almost completely burned down. But then it struck me. I hadn't seen my cat. So their house was nearly burned down completely. Nothing was left. But at that time, something struck in his mind. Where is my cat? The cat is not there. Where was my cat? Much to my horror, I realized that she was nowhere to be found. Now he realized that the cat is nowhere. Then all at once it hit me. The new school, the fire, my cat. I broke down in tears and cried and cried. I was suffering loss big time. So then, just at that moment, something he remembered. What is that? Something came to his mind. That at first he lost his old school, a new school. That is a loss. The fire, another loss. House burned. Then added to that, his another beloved item, the cat, that also lost in fire. So he cannot handle all these losses. Before this, he lost his father. So all these losses he is no longer able to handle. As a result, he broke down in tears and started crying. It was a big loss for him. All this combined, it was a big loss for him, and he could not stop himself from crying. He was crying and crying and crying. He was not able to handle it. The firemen wouldn't let us go back into the house that night. It was still too dangerous. Dead or alive, I couldn't imagine living without knowing about my cat. So that night, the firemen did not allow them to enter the house because the condition of the house was very bad. So it was dangerous for them to go in. But he did not want to leave. Why? He wanted to know the whereabouts of his cat, whether it is alive or dead. If it is alive, very fine. If it's not, at least its dead body somewhere I will get it. So that he was searching. Regardless, I had to go. We piled into the car with just the clothes on our back and a few of the firemen's blankets and made our way to my grandparents' house to spend the night. So, whatever, he was not able to find his cat or its dead body. He had to go. They went to their grandparents' house. With what were the belongings? Only the dress that they were putting on, the clothes, along with some of the blankets that the firemen gave them. And for that night, to spend the night, they had to go to their grandparents' house. Okay, so today we'll keep till here. Tomorrow we'll try to finish up this chapter. I hope by tomorrow we'll finish it up. Okay? Okay. Thank you, everybody here.